Thank you and good evening. Welcome to the regularly scheduled Rochester Downtown Development Authority meeting for March 15th, 2023, tax date for us accountants for corporate. Madam Recording Secretary, the roll, please.
LaPuma.
Here.
Diana. Bloomingdale.
Here.
Johnson. Knapp.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Hay. He's here.
We didn't hear.
Karsten.
Here.
Mayor Bixson.
Here.
Chairman Giovanelli.
Present.
Let's see. Marilyn Trent is gone. Lisa Swiftney. Don Sinkowitz.
Here.
Christy Trevorrow.
Here.
There's a quorum.
Excellent.
Call
Fantastic.
out my name. I'm here. Call out my name. I
Yeah, no
forgot.
worries. We're going to crank up the hearing aid down there. Paul's listening to some 70s rock and tuned us out temporarily. Thank you, and thank you for everybody coming this evening. We appreciate it. First order of business would be the approval of the meeting minutes from February 28th, 2023, the long 2 weeks ago that we were together.
And you can move to accept.
Okay, motion by Carson, support?
Support.
Support by Haig. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Audience comments. We would need an audience for that. So feel free to email your questions into Christy@downtownrochestermi.org.
Very excited, please do.
City Council, Marilyn Trent is not here, so Mayor, are you going to be the pinch hitter this evening?
Yeah, Nick, you can help me out. We had a very short meeting. We had a number of reports. We did, I think, set up a public hearing to talk about the first floor, Roger Knapp's proposal to, you can't have office space, you have to have,
Got it, yeah.
Something to keep the traffic going. That moved forward to have a public hearing the next meeting, and, seemed like everybody's pretty much on board. We did read the letter, or put the letter in that the DDA supported it, so everybody knew that. And other than that, it was a pretty short meeting.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for the update. We only had one in between our last meeting, so we'll get the full-on 2 meetings next time. Any questions for the mayor? Seeing none, marching forward. Chamber of Commerce, Lisa Swiftney is not here.
She was going to send me a report, but did not receive.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and email that out as soon as we get it, and if there's any questions, you can redirect to her. Historical Commission, Mr. Sinkowitz, good evening.
Good evening. Yes, all the activities concerning Founder's Day are complete. That was the distribution of the coloring books. As I mentioned, around 1,200 coloring books this year for the second graders. And of course, the celebration on March 12th of the Founder's Day at the Rochester Museum. And Founder's Day is actually on Friday, so there'll be a very enthusiastic Founder's Day celebration, I'm sure. And of course, we're starting to plan, or already in the planning stage of the Heritage Festival. We're going to have approximately 40 artist vendors there this year. We're working on the food trucks, getting more food trucks this year than we had in the past. Bob, I did get the electrical vendor, so we're working through that. So we're anticipating a very good Heritage Festival, excuse me.
I think Founder's Day, given that it's on St. Patrick's Day, will be equally as fun, probably more fun. So, thank you for that update. Any questions for our Historical Commission liaison? Seeing none, moving forward, Principal Shopping District, Mr. Haig, good evening.
Oh, good evening. For the,
You might want to move your microphone down.
I guess I will. I have to be heard.
You're kind of
Okay.
new. You're kind of new here, I know.
Yeah, I know. That's the way it goes. Okay, so for the openings and closings, I'll let Nick handle that, and then I'll handle the Town Square project and everything else down there. Okay?
This is for PSD, not business development.
Okay. So the business downtown, sorry. We have some openings and closings downtown, and we have a lot of things getting built up that are a lot faster. We have the Town Square project update, which you all got before. You have the Holiday Expo. Now, the Holiday Expo is confirmed for 11/13/23, and we are allowed to have people outside, too, in the hallway if we get too crowded, and it's been a very crowded event for many years. And other than that, we've got some new help coming in to give guidance to businesses. And what else would you add there?
The Makers Market is coming to council for approval at their next meeting. We opened vendor applications. This is going to be the replacement for Junk in the Trunk and Thursday Night Market that Jenna and Taylor presented at Goals and Objectives. And we shared it out on our social on Monday, and we are already getting a lot of applications in. So we're excited, but that'll officially go to council. That'll be on 4th Street on Saturday, June 24th.
Awesome. Anything else?
No, we have the opening of the new event pretty soon.
Pass.
That's exciting.
Indeed. Well, Nick is going to give us that sort of update tailing here in, I think, coming up very short order, so.
That's it. Thanks.
Yes, sir. Thank you for that report. We appreciate it. On to the general business agenda. Mr. Bry had emergency dental surgery, so he is not going to be here this evening, so he,
Sounds lovely.
yeah, no, it's nothing more enjoyable than that and resorting the sock drawer. So we will put him on a different agenda, I'm sure, because.
He said that he would like to come to the next meeting, which will be April 19th, and by then he'd actually have our certification certificates.
Oh, sweet. So we'll be able to, that'll work out great.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we're praying for his dental work, so. Next on the agenda, Mr. City Manager, Economic Development Update. Good
Thank
evening.
you. So, Paul, again, I always say sorry, you had to hear this twice. So this morning, Business Development did meet, and we went over all this stuff, and I was like on a wild ramble. So I tried to write them down a little bit more organized so I can stay on task here.
We have bigger
Keep this
paper
shorter. What's that?
We have bigger paper if you need.
Yeah, I know, I'm trying to, watching our pennies here. So, all right, let's start with the Roxy. So, what Paul was talking about is the venue, so the former Village Shoe-In. Glenn Wilhelm from Youngers in Romeo has entered into a lease with the Thibodeaux that own the property. And they are shooting for a mid-May opening. If you go by there, there is a flurry of activity. They're going crazy in there. It's gonna be about a 312-seat theater. It's everything from comedy club to dueling pianos to music acts, et cetera, that come through town, and he's well experienced, like 26 years he's been doing this, so he's got the entertainment venue figured out. So we're really excited. In fact, the big showcase for that's going to be Chief Schettenhelm's retirement party. We're gonna have it there on the Thursday before Memorial Day at 5:30, so it's live now, you can buy tickets. We have the Steve Schettenhelm scholarship that's been set up, and people are already donating into that. So I think we already sold like 50 tickets. We're expecting between 300 and 500 people, if you can believe that. It's Birmingham people, every cop from anywhere around is gonna be there, so. And Glenn is co-hosting with Chris at Corner Bar, and they're kind of hosting this event. And we have, I can say this, so in the next couple of days, you're gonna get a note that says, hey, if you wanna stop by this room in the next 2 weeks, we're gonna have a camera set up. We want people to come in and do it could be a roast, it could be a say goodbye, whatever, and we're gonna put that all together. CMTV's working with us. We're gonna do a whole video, and we're gonna present that, probably a good hour. That's gonna be on the big screen in the theater, and should be pretty funny.
That's awesome.
So we're gonna have a good time. So the Roxy, him and Chris is also doing Ernie's, and Ernie's is at Dr. Atala's building below Silver Spoon. And they're in there, they gutted it yesterday, actually, they got their demo permit, got their regular permits today. That's gonna be a Mediterranean Greek restaurant. He's spending so much money in there, it's gonna be spectacular. Outside fire pits, and all on the river, doors that open, all kinds of good stuff. And him and Glenn have a dollar bet who's gonna open first in mid-May. So they've got all their trades going.
That's great.
And we're really excited. That's gonna be a wonderful addition. So you have Silver Spoon on the upper floor, and then down on the bottom floor, right on the river. Outdoor dining, everything. All that stuff was there, it was just, they took everything out and started over. So we're real excited to have that going. A little weird news, Tide, if you noticed, is closed. And there's a lot of people that have clothes that are still in the Tide building that can't get them out. So we got the police department working with the owner, Yasser, to try to find out what's going on. He didn't let us know. And there's people every night waiting out there for it to open for a few minutes to get their stuff out. So I'm not sure what happened, to be honest with you, but I can tell you right now, the interest already, it says for lease or sale. As soon as that sign went up, we get a call every day, including Rito at Silver Spoon, was like, how about a drive-through calzone station? We're like, oh.
Yeah, 100%, yes.
So I bet you that's not gonna last long. Not sure what happened. I think the Tide in Washington Township also closed, so something must have happened to those guys. yeah, his name's Yasser, and we'll see what happens. So that's, if you notice that, we're aware of it. 120 South Main, so that's the collision shop. So Chris Parrott from Dan, who owns Dan's Excavating, and Anthony Lombardo Homes they've optioned, but they're buying the cleaners and the collision shop. Tear it down. It's very dirty. Obviously, there's the cleaners and a collision shop. So it's a brownfield. We'll work with them on that. But they're looking at, they've been to the Plan Commission, Mayor, how many times that site's been there? 5?
A lot.
A lot. And everybody keeps coming in asking for unreasonable development. We have Angot across the street, that's a 3-story office building, and the Plan Commission said, the ordinance says you can go 3 stories, just do that and we'll work with you. Well, they've come in with a 3-story building, 25,000 square feet on the first floor of office, and it's Chris, they're gonna move Dan's
25,000?
Excavating's office, is that pardon?
25,000?
1,000. It's amazing what you can put on that property when you spread it out. Then the second floor is 8 to 12 condos, lots of money, and then there's 2 condos on the third floor, one's Chris's and one's Anthony's. So you do the math on square foot, and they have some
moly.
big condos. So we came in, we met, and we're starting through the process. They hope to get to the Planning Commission in June. So that's great news. And they're gonna, part of it's not even a special project, but they're gonna put stairways into the bottom. We're gonna change the way the alley works. They have parking underneath it, so they self-park. And it should be wonderful. It's a beautiful building from what I saw. Mike Blake had purchased the building on Main Street. His realty's in there right now. And he got approved 2 years ago at the Planning Commission for a 2nd story. Decided not worth it. I know former Mayor Dalton next door at Shamrock's very happy. It's just gonna be a renovated 1-story. So Mike's gonna stay in there. He's one of the 4 realtors in town that will be affected by the new, no general office on the first floor, but he's grandfathered in, as is Artera and also Daniel Bryan Cobb and Michigan Realty. So they all know that they can keep office there, but if they let that go vacant for a year under the new ordinance, then we would get some kind of service industry or retail. So Mike's came in today, got the rest of the drawings done. He's gonna come in for it's a facelift on the building, basically in the front and the back, so that's great. Artera bought Greens, the building, so they're gonna move next door to Greens. And they're going through tomorrow night at the Planning Commission for their final shot at a renovation in the front and the back. They're gonna take out the asphalt in the back, adjacent to our deck, put an outdoor patio for their clients inside, so it's a workspace, right? So you can go out there, eat lunch, they have hedges around, et cetera. So I think that's a nice upgrade. Not retail, but there will be people coming in and out because it's a workspace, so it's not just their offices on the 1st and 2nd floor.
And their old space, is gonna be, it'll be under the new thing, right?
No, they'd be grandfathered in, but in talking to the owner, they know we want retail there, so we're gonna do our best to, there's not many good spaces like that to get retail. So speaking of a space like that, so Pamela, Antiques by Pamela, she's now in the back of
Soul Sisters.
Soul Sisters, and that space opened up. So Tom Bosley, who helped build Cumberland condos years ago, he's always been a distiller of spirits on the side, and he's got a place in Lake Orion, Tom's Bitters.
Bitter
Bitter Tom's. Wonderful reviews. So he distills out there. Him and his wife got this Pamela space, and they're gonna make that a tasting room for spirits. So they get, instead of a Class C, it's like, they get a tasting room license from the state. It's like 44 people. They don't distill in there. It's just craft cocktails. It's just nice and quiet and intimate for 44, 45 people. So he's extremely excited to get that. We're very excited for that. Saying 1881, Kevin Stewart met with the owners. They are ready to go. What they've been doing is they're this close to spring, and they really, Armand and Lisa really want to splash. So they're waiting until they can get the outdoor patio open, get all that done. Inside's done and ready to go, and they're going to open. So it should be any time, at least beginning of April, I think they were talking about.
So they were talking about a couple weeks of soft openings, and then reevaluate, and then if everything's good to go, they're hoping to be rolling beginning of May.
Yeah, that's awesome. In April will be the soft openings, Christie's right. So that's gonna be wonderful. Again, that's not a restaurant, it's a coffee shop in the morning and then a speakeasy in the evening with craft cocktails, et cetera. And again, with what the Roxy's doing, so you can have drinks and stuff at the Roxy, because they don't serve food, but their idea was come eat, And then when you're done, go out and have a dessert or do something after also. They're not there for full service at the Roxy. So all these things fit into the after crowd, the after business crowd should be able to have great places to go. Christy and I met with Mike Plez. He's partnering up with Frank Rewald on the gravel lot across from the fire station. And their preliminary plans are a 3-story building. Mike is kind of the lead on this with Frank. And it would be, Mike also is a distiller. So we'd have about 2/3 of the first floor would be a distillery and a / restaurant, kind of like Eagle Claw. No, I always call it.
Griffin Claw.
Griffin Claw, Birmingham.
Eagle Claw is a fishing book. That's how I remember
Little
this.
different.
Yeah, Griffin Claw. So it's kind of like that. So he would distill there, have his restaurant, and then the back third, about 6,000 feet, would be a market. And Mike's very creative, so we're looking forward to what kind of market that would be. Kind of like what we talked about, but not the same magnitude, more specialty food things and stuff, so.
Yeah, I went ahead, he asked if we could share some of our research and all that, so I gave him the book. But yeah, he said about 6,000 square feet, and he's really looking to invest in local people to come in and like try some of their things, and it might help us as an incubator space as well for maybe some people that are down there that might want
love
to
it.
accelerate up. So we told him that when it comes to recruitment time, that we'd be happy to
Sure.
throw a few people over to him.
No, 100%.
So I think, so just start picturing that whole area, what's going on here, what we're about to keep going on. So then the second floor would be offices, and then the third floor would be white boxed right now, and then ultimately Mike will turn that into a banquet room for the restaurant. And he'll run that after about a year. He wants to get the restaurant going, the distillery going, then he'd take the third floor. So instead of, if they're gonna build, like, do it now and get it done, so.
That's not brownfield, is it?
Nope, that one's not, so, it's cleaned up already.
Yeah.
So we have that, and then Patty Eisenbraun from the PSD, she owns Brown Iron Brewery in Washington and Royal Oak. She's that close now to she's made the deal at the Michigan Emergency Veterinary Clinic on Second Street in Water, right? So she was trying to close in January, ready to go. They're gonna bring the brewing operation, because it's zone industrial, to the building on about 1/3 of it, and then a 99-seat Brown Iron Brewery, a mini Brown Iron Brewery, same food, a little more self-service, with all the new laws that you can pour your own beer, I think, and stuff on walls, and she's gonna go high-tech here, so, they ran into a title clearing problem. We met with Brad Mitzelfeld this morning at our business development. His dad sold Ebingers that property years ago. And for some reason, about 2 years after it was on a land contract, when they were closing out the land contract, they wanted a little more sliver of land. Somehow, the legal description is so screwed up that the county can't prove that she can buy the property without having the bank own half of the parking lot. She owns part of the fire station. It's so messed up with the county, so I met with attorneys yesterday, and they think they've got to figure it out. And once they can get the title work cleared, Patty closes, going to the planning commission in April, and it could be really awesome. So it's Brown Iron Brewery, outdoor dining, energy right there. So as we're talking about that, and we're talking about the front porch project, obviously our corner on the hill at the farmer's market lot, if you saw the pictures, like if you're on 3rd Street looking towards the west, we had a big grand staircase, if you will, going up in there with a announcement placard at the top. So Brad Mitzel, this has been a pet peeve of mine forever. Brad owns the vacant lot. So Patty Brown Iron owns the white building at 3rd and Water on the hill. That's her corporate headquarters. Below that, Brad's owned this little spot with a bunch of box elders on it, and just crappy, forever. She wanted to buy it so she could put a deck out and expand a restaurant, but now that she's getting this restaurant, it doesn't matter. So we checked with her, she's like, I'm good. Brad's gonna work with us if we can acquire that corner and then put a pocket park there and kind of mirror the entrance, like brick opening, a patio, benches, just a nice little pocket park there. If you picture Frank doing his whole thing, his building's gonna be by the river, and then green up that corner. So we'll have 3 corners and the fire station all there. Now you're getting synergy. So AEW is making these giant maps for me and staff for next week after staff meeting. We're gonna go in the room and start drawing up how all this fits together, right? So we know Sherry's rethinking, he's not gonna do the 6-story, billion-dollar apartments. He's rethinking that project. Suave's still trying to figure out what they're gonna do on the what's it called? Milltown on the south side, right? And then Scott Ronan owns the corner where Storm Capital is and the plastics plant. So he's got people looking at that. And then next one will Sherry and Frank Rewald are working on the elevator, which is going to the planning commission probably in May. They're ready to go, but we have to tweak the Pica lines so that we can process their request. 3 stories along Water, 3 stories along University, and 3 stories along the backside of Sunrise. Only 30 units, apartments, and then live work. And we're tying all that together with paths and sidewalks and all that good stuff. So we're gonna make sure we know exactly what we want the developers to do. Planning commissions will see how all the traffic flows. How does this all work? Because we have some people already saying, you can't put any more on 2nd Street because I can't get out of my building. True, at some times during the day, mostly true. Right now, guess what's closed? Avon, DeQuinder, tomorrow, they close 23 intersection. 1 year, almost a year, that's gonna be closed when they finish that roundabout. They hope to open it next spring. When that's back to flowing, we will not, the mayor goes to see his dad, right? And you sit there and you've told me, you look in Cedarbrook and look down, and it's backed up from, Parkdale to Main Street.
Yeah, all the way.
All that way, but that's not normal. That's because Avon's closed, and we know that. And DeQuinder's getting the 96-inch sewer. They just told us they're gonna start the first phase on that in 3 weeks. So once all that settles down, we will have a plan on what we want, what improvements do we want. Maybe we want to light at Elizabeth and Second, going up the hill towards Letica, so that we can stop the traffic and let it clear at Main Street. So we're gonna do all this studying and making sure we get this right. This is what I love to do, and we're gonna get all over this to make sure we don't overcrowd it. Joey's gonna build down the cement plant, Joey Lachurco. He's got his plans in right now, so here we go, but we have to make sure we're doing it right, sustainable, slow, get it right. And it's great for the businesses downtown, obviously. All those are people living here or working here or visiting here, that we can do this all together. So just be aware that we're looking at the big picture, not taking these one at a time. We're not gonna do that. I talked about Tom's. Mrs. Buckerfield owns the little building between Meeting House and
Tanya's.
Tanya's, actually is between two little bills on the other side. So that building's been for sale. A bunch of people said they had it. What we're talking about today, they don't have it. It's not, the
Okay.
deal fell through. So there's
Wanna
been some
tell them
really
what you-
wonky people who go in there.
Did you want to tell them what you told business development it
No,
was?
no, because it's not gonna happen, so.
Said it-
So somebody wanted a use that sounds inappropriate. It wasn't, but it sounds inappropriate. That was gonna go in there, but, so they're not going there. So we have them, somebody's gonna buy that. It's an apartment on the upper floor, and it'll be some kind of retailer support on the first floor. Moon River, 5 people said they bought it. It's still on the market. So we don't know if somebody bought it or not, but whoever buys it is gonna demolish it. Randy's evaluated with the fire chief, that foundation's shot. You can't build on it, so it's gotta come out. So everybody that's talked to us is 3 stories, retail, office, residential on the top.
Can we force them to take it down regardless? If
Yes,
this is
so
gonna
we,
take around?
right now, if
It's
they
condemned.
don't do it in the next month or so, we're gonna make them take it down.
Okay.
Carlos and Liz got their check from the bank to take down, to pay for the demolition. So that's not the problem. They're getting there, they already have a demo permit, they just haven't got the contractor to do it, but we're telling them to take it down now.
Yeah, it's-
Because it can't be saved, so
it's
we're working on that. Today, Mayor, was the ribbon cutting for, how'd that go?
The bank did the old
Detroit.
karate thing. You never know it was karate. They have all kinds of offices.
Wow.
And their first act in the city was to give $10,000 to the school district, the community fund, so it was very nice, I thought.
Awesome. So Detroit, Dearborn Federal Credit Union, they've already partnered with us on Fire and Ice, and I think they're excited to be here. I think I told a story before, I was number 2, and my dad was number 1, my mom was number 2, I was number 3 in Dearborn Federal Credit Union in 1954. So my mom and dad opened our accounts, so that's because we were from Dearborn, and that's where that started, back in 1954, so it's kind of cool. So I'm glad to have them here. Doc's now leasing the apartments. I think the whole upper floor is leased, and he's got 3 or 4 already on the bottom going. So those apartments are very urban, but they're really cool. I mean, they're brand new spanking, everything's first class, appliances, finishes, and he's getting good response there. So that's awesome that he's got a total of 26 units there. People living downtown that can just walk down to Recipes or walk across the street and get a coffee. So it's beautiful. It's a great relationship. I talked about Ernie, so they're on a fast track to get that cranked out in Doc's other place. corner bar will finish the job now. In the spring, take down the brick pillars that the planning commission negotiated with them and enhance that outdoor dining area with fire tables and all good kind of stuff. So they're cranking on that. And I talked about the elevator. So that's about it. Well, one sad thing, the condos at Ferndale and Glendale on North Main. So they're all, wind blew them down. Greg got a settlement, took him 3 months to get insurance to pay. They paid. He's got the second one built, and he doesn't know why, and I believe this, and we don't know why. The bank, his financing got pulled. So no work's been done there in 4 weeks, so he's scrambling trying to find alternate financing. And Vito Pampalona is his leasing agent, and even Vito didn't know. It's just I don't know who he was dealing with, but they didn't treat him very well, so I'm sure he'll get back on track quick, but that's why there's no work going on up there at this point.
Unfortunately, we're going to hear that story a fair bit, I think, in the coming days and weeks. On all of the development sort of in and around Front Porch, as we start to report out, and I think that this is what you were saying, is you're trying to look at everything as a whole in that area so you can see. It would be great if we could get 1 or 2 shots, that people could start visualizing what it's going to look like with all of this stuff in place down there, and,
Yeah, with technology now, because we have a lot of these, we have the elevations with their renderings. And if we could start doing an aerial and then do a blow-up box that shows this is what's going here, this is going here, I bet you we can figure out a way to do that.
I think it'd be super helpful, just so people can get a feel. I think you're gonna need it anyway, so you can get a feel for traffic patterns and walking and, everything else that we're gonna need to do just as sort of, due diligence, but also too, so people can see the vision, where we're headed.
Yep. I think it's gonna be a grand time in the next 2 years, right? There's a lot going on. It seems like now.
For a general contractor.
Yeah, exactly. Forget what's happening with Greg at the condos, but everybody else is financed. Oh, and actually Randazzo, we had our pre-Brownfield meeting today with staff, so we're ready to take the Brownfield plan to the Brownfield Committee in April and then to City Council in May. And Tony's chomping to get going to get his first phase in the condos along the river, down the riverfront at Walnut and First. So all these people that have been on hold because of COVID or $450 a square foot to build are now coming back around. And I think they're ready to pull the trigger on some of these things. So that's exciting for us.
That is exciting.
It's exciting we have heard this all before, though.
I know.
From these guys.
And
So we'll see, right?
Yep, and, yeah, exactly, so I'm feeling better about this round. We couldn't control COVID, but, or what it did to all the prices, but you're right, the big boys, the Mosheris and Suaves, we heard it, they never built anything, so we're getting down to that next level of people that seem committed, ready to go, looking for building permits.
Well, once you get Mike and Plez and those guys involved, that's.
Yeah. I mean, they want to break
get
ground
stuff
in
done.
August, so
Yeah,
we
no.
have to get them through the planning commission.
Yeah, no,
first.
they get stuff done, so
Yeah.
it's very exciting.
Okay.
Any questions for Nick on this part? He's going to be around because he's part of the next one, too. So we're kind of transitioning into Town Square project update, so I guess Tony, venture.
Okay. I start? Okay. Just so you know, we are moving forward on the town square. Chrissy's cut AEW loose, and we're getting this survey done, the topo done, and the soil borings. They've all been ordered. Scott will have the survey the first week of April, so this will help him kind of complete his job and work on a concrete schedule. We still have a meeting, Scott, scheduled between March 31st and the first week of April, so we're still on track. And we're still planning on going in front of the board April 19th. We'll have some renderings, hopefully. So we're still pushing this thing.
Yeah, so we agreed to this board is like complete staff work, so we don't know numbers. Everybody pull a number out of the sky. Doesn't mean anything. When we get, that's why with soil borings, engineering reports, how much the utilities are gonna cost, all that can be done now. You'll have a real number that you can deal with, not just us having to guess at some. We knew what we thought it was, could be way off, could be way under, don't know. So we're gonna come with facts. You will not see it until there's facts, and then you have to make then you make a decision in the city council.
I would just encourage you to make sure that everybody's in agreement on numbers before you start coughing them up. You're going to get one bite at that apple.
Absolutely, one shot, I agree.
I was just saying, just to remind anyone watching at home that maybe didn't watch our last meeting, so the April meeting is when we're targeted for schematics, and then based on if the board gives the
Yeah, it'll
nod
be
to that,
July.
it'll be July.
Right.
So our July DDA meeting that we'll start seeing numbers.
Yeah. So, yeah, the April meeting that we're looking at is going to be a visual kind of settling of what it's going to look like roughed in, no numbers, and then numbers will follow at our July meeting.
And I think it's important, we're meeting with Representative John James, mayor's meeting, joining us Friday. So we're on a full court press. There's some wild money out there. And we got $1.2 million out of Slotkin's office, Representative Slotkin's office, for that All Abilities Park. That, with no match, that was like, here you go. So, Mr. James, we already have a slide deck that's been submitted in his portal today. Marcy and Anthony put all that in for front porch project, or the town square, community house, the bridge, the Paint Creek Bridge, all those things. We're saying, these are opportunities. He asked us, what does this community need? I want to know, because there's all these projects out there. They're asking the representatives to tap into this huge billions of dollars and come up with ideas that are community oriented. So we're giving them everything we've got. So our goal is to have somebody else pay for the town square, somebody else to pay for the community garden, somebody else to pay for the bridge if we can get it. So we're going hard at it, and really hard at it. And we've literally submitted officially today, so that's pretty exciting.
So I worked with Marcy and Anthony on the application. They needed 3 letters, so I took the letter that we had done originally with Slotkin's office and modified that, and then I got a letter from Maggie at the chamber, and then also from Sean at Pink Creek, kind of showing that the cultural element, the economic element, and the official request was for $1 million. So we'll see what happens, and then we're meeting him on Friday to kind of reinforce the application that was submitted.
No, that's fantastic. Is there any roadblocks coming up, or is nothing popping up that's getting in the way? Because I don't want, to lose any kind of momentum. So to the extent that anything like that comes up that requires us to get together, I'll put a meeting together.
Nope. Once we get the topo on the soil borings, that's the key right there, because that'll tell you what you can do and how much it's gonna cost you to dig in that ground to get the underground in.
Gotcha.
That's the biggest word, so.
Any other questions for Nick?
Can that paved trail to Quinder Road, can that be put in that, under that thing with John James?
It's not, we have to get, not yet, Roger, maybe someday down the line. Roger's talking about that, the last dirt stretch from Elizabeth all the way to DeQuinder. Everything to the east is paved, and we had talked about, could we look at paving it? Not a consensus of everybody to do that yet, so we have to get that first, because you have to have letters of support. Anybody that's detracting from that's you're never gonna get a grant, so I don't think we're quite there yet. Not everybody agreed they wanted it paved. So
is that right?
Yeah, so but it's on our radar, I can tell you that.
Any other questions for Nick? Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, I just had a comment. I've talked to Nick about this. We really need to do a good job of messaging what we're doing, because right now, people on the city council think it's 2.5 or larger, for what's going down there, and there's a lot of consternation about that. So, I think people are for this project, but if it starts to get, 2.5 million for a building and a bathroom, people don't really like that.
Right, no, I agree.
It seems like way too much.
Well, that's the
So,
problem.
So I'm just saying is there's support for this project, but right now, there's stuff getting out there that is not positive.
Yeah, and it's our job, so I've talked, and I told the mayor how much I appreciate the heads up so that we can get ahead of it. So a couple of people that I know, not just necessarily on council, other people that have consternation about big numbers, it's like, it's so much more. And when you start telling them what the reason we're doing it for, it's not for a bathroom or for a front porch, it's for a community gathering space. And that's why if we could just, I'm praying that we get some outside money which will validate exactly why we're doing this. It's to create our town square. We don't have one. We're downtown without a town square. We have to fabricate it every time. If we can get to that point, so Mayor's 100% right. We have to sell that. And Christine and I have talked about how we're gonna do that. Visuals are huge. Right. And then here's what we're gonna program there. And this is how we see using it. It's not just some cement that's colored green or something, so.
Yeah, we've been doing this long enough where we know that, what's the old saying? But things getting halfway around the world before the truth has a chance to get its pants on. I would just say, let's, everybody just sort of step back, take a deep breath. We don't know anything yet, right? We'll know, in April, we'll have sort of a visual what what the parts are gonna be, but in July, you're gonna have numbers, and then at that point, then it's gonna start
Right.
making sense to have the
Well,
discussion.
and I agree with that. It's just, it's like, there's kind of a mixed message of, let's wait, let's make sure everything's good, but at the same time, we're gonna have this meeting in April, we're gonna do this, we're gonna push that, we're gonna put, and you know, those two are kind of go against each other sometimes, I think.
It just takes time. When you're in
Yeah.
this process,
Yeah.
it takes time. I mean, you
Right.
have to have drawings.
Right.
You have to, like Nick said, you got to look at the topo, the survey. It all takes time, and that'll tell the story.
And it's no different than the community house. We were all excited, $1.5 million, council's $1.2 million, we were ready to go, $3 million comes in. Because reality hit, there's the drawings, there's the bids. So Alan knows, one more shot, we can't go back, the board there knows, get it right, get your best numbers, try to find outside money, and then come back and get one more shot, because we can't keep starting on these things, it's
Yeah,
frustrating for all
right.
of us, so.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you get deal fatigue and.
Hey,
it just-
thank you, that's a good way to put it.
And so, but yeah, I would just, anybody that comes up, I would just ask that say, hey, look, we don't know yet. We're gonna know for certain by July.
Yep.
So I just ask everybody to kind of, reserve judgment and, let's just see, and then we're gonna decide. And, at the end of the day, it's gonna be 4 people on council. They're gonna decide what it is, right? So, all we're gonna do is do our best and then we go from there. Any other, questions from, on this particular? All right, so in terms of next stuff, you guys are good on calendar, you've got everything, okay, so that's good. Outdoor decks, Christine, Nick.
Yes. So it's that time again. And as you may recall, back in COVID 2020, that we went ahead and produced these outdoor dining decks for the businesses. The restaurants really enjoyed them. We weren't able to place any on Main Street because MDOT didn't want them in the right-of-way, so they're on the side streets. So come spring again, it's now that Nick has sent out the outdoor dining notices for all the people on Main Street, now it's time to start talking about the outdoor platforms. I went ahead and reached out to all the previous people who have had the decks, and they would all like to have the dining decks back. In addition to that, Side Dish and the Spice and Tea Exchange were wondering about a deck, which Beyond Juice had one, the prior tenant of Spice and Tea. We can't put 2 there just because it would take up all the parking in that little section, but we could place the Beyond Juice one back, so they had a request in for that. So we have all the interest, so it's up to the board now if this is something we would like to pursue, and if so, we need to go to council with this, which is why I'm bringing in March, so we can get in front of council next month before the weather breaks. So it's 2 pieces, one, that we want to place the decks, and secondarily, last year, the city council was kind enough to partner with us and waive the fees for the use of the parking spaces, so it'd be up to this board if we are going to ask them to waive the fees again. Just to refresh everyone's memory, it's not asking the city to pay any money, it's just waiving any revenue that would have been derived from those meters because we have a big deck sitting there and no one can park there and use the meters for the time that we have the decks out there.
And can I throw a couple of things more? So Christy and I talked about this, and it was maybe nobody's fault. It's still COVID fatigue. If you're not gonna use the deck, DeMarco's, then we're not putting it out there. We'd rather have the parking spaces, right? So you commit to put it out there, put tables, staff it, use it. There's only a couple that ran into that, and Chris didn't get his at the meeting house until
So
the
Chris-
road was done, so he got his late in the
Well,
summer.
Chris didn't take his last year
Oh, that's
because
right. We didn't put it out.
so because 4th Street was going on, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
That's okay.
Last year, 4th Street, because it was under construction, we couldn't place Zoot and we couldn't place DeMarco's until later. So Chris, at the time, in the early spring, when we placed everyone else, he asked us not to place because he wasn't sure about his staffing. So then when we came around, he knew he couldn't take it because he just couldn't figure out the staff. Zoot took theirs, programmed it, great. DeMarco's took theirs, put umbrellas out, did nothing. So when I talked to Lisa at DeMarco's, I let her know that we observed that last year, and if she does want it back, she absolutely needs to use it. Nick and I were kind of talking about from the date it goes out that they have 30 days to make it, to do it. And if they don't do it, then we have to pull it, and it'll be at their expense to remove it. I
And
think,
with them, with hot tacos and tequila, that's really quite a little spot now. We're like, push it down a little bit in front of there. That's where everybody's hanging out. And he's spending a lot of money cutting the inside of DeMarco's, new bar, new everything, and Mark's all in there. So I think that's gonna be a hopping spot also, so. And I will tell you that Anthony gave us a quick report that, thank God for all these events, thank God for a nice winter. We are ahead of pre-COVID parking numbers. The fund is back flush and making more money than it did before. And we haven't even opened anything yet. When you start opening some of these venues, so we're very comfortable, and Anthony's very happy looking at those numbers. where we trended all winter. Again, thank you for the nice weather. A lot more people were out hanging around all winter, and I think we've all noticed that. So the parking fund's in a good spot, really good spot right now, with putting money aside for the improvements that we need to do to keep those structures and the parking system. All the parking lots with that money, that's how we were flushing up. We striped and sealed, didn't fix them all, but striped and sealed every lot that we had downtown. So on surface, they look a lot better. We're gonna do the one behind Gibbs Thanks Bakery has to come out and be redone. So we have money set aside for that even. So we're gonna just plod through those, fix them permanently. So we're real happy with the parking fee, the parking fund right now. So it recovered pretty quick.
That's good. All right, so 2 courses of action, one for requesting the ability to put these out, and then just request a council to waive the fees like last year, and then they'll do what they're gonna do, and then we'll find out.
Yep.
The second one, though, I'm more intrigued with on changing of the, you have 30 days to do something, and we're gonna yank it. Do we need to have a vote on that, or is that just a,
What do you think, Nick?
You just tell us that's the conditions, all the time we put it in the agreement.
Yeah.
okay, board, anybody have any issues with that? So the idea is that if you have one and it's not used for 30 consecutive days, that we'll move it to somebody else that needs it at your cost. Is-
I just had a comment to make. It is so hard to predict if you're
I
gonna have
know.
staff, so it's like,
Yeah, I know.
feel for them because I understand it. I totally get it. Sorry.
Even if there's tables and chairs and the public can sit there, it's worth it.
Yeah.
Some didn't have anything. It was
Yeah,
just a
that was
blank.
the
deck.
challenge
We're
we
like,
had.
Don't do that to us.
Yeah, we had one last year, just had umbrellas, but no seating
seating.
and never got used.
And then Boss Barber makes theirs an outdoor Eden, and so
They have-
does,
they have
Tulu.
speakers, they got music, lights.
So we understand, it's not that, but just make it available with
Yes.
seats and chairs, so that doesn't take much staff to make sure they're seated.
So if we had that in it, it would be okay-ish?
Oh, yeah, no, I was just-
because this is a vested interest, and
I know.
I'm looking to you for your expertise, so.
And it's so hard because like last summer, I felt like ours didn't get used as much, but it was like 95 degrees
Yep.
out and people were like, even though we have umbrellas, they were like, no, we want the air conditioning. And that was for everybody.
Yeah. I think this was more just a function of they asked for the deck, but then they never program it. Don't
Yeah,
put
that's
one
a
stick of
problem.
furniture out
You
there.
had your stuff out there, people were using
We always have our, I mean, they see the purple umbrellas and they're like, what's that? So even just having that there,
Fast
it
traffic,
drew
I would
them
think,
in.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so would it be fair to say that if we said that if you use it within 30 days of it being set up, it needs, or pick some time frame, but it has to have, furniture and be programmed?
Yes.
It might be as simple as we reserve the right to determine if you're not adequately using it, and then we're gonna ask you to use it or ask you to pay to have it.
Fair.
And we can come up with that.
All right, cool. All right, so we'll defer to you guys on, but I think I don't want to just drop them out there and have them end up, because
Yeah.
we lose money, parking revenue, and all the things mentioned before, so don't want to do that. Any other questions on this? Okay, good. Moving forward, recommendation for budget. All right, so,
Ben, can I get a motion?
oh, sure, I'm sorry. Yes.
Sorry.
We just talked about doing a motion. I'm like, oh, yeah. Go ahead. So the one that you need is for the recommendation to send to council the request to put the decks out and to waive the fees.
Yes.
Okay, I can't make a motion, so if somebody else wants to do that.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Hague,
I'll second it.
support by Bloomingdale. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Sorry about that.
We'll put that on the council.
Yep.
I perceive no issues with that.
Okay, great.
If we get it in by next Tuesday, we put it on March 28th.
I won't be there for that, so okay, all right.
All right, fantastic. All right, back to 6E, budget. So last week, or it feels like last week, 2 weeks ago, went over the budget in detail. I think we were pretty much in agreement, but I wanted to kind of have like a period of time for people to kind of digest it. And so I haven't heard anything from anybody. Christie, have you received any communications from
I have
anybody?
not.
So I'll open up the floor to debate as to any last-minute changes to the budget, and we beat it up pretty good last time. If there is none, then a motion to approve it and forward it to council for their consideration would be in order. Anybody?
So moved.
Motion by the mayor,
Support.
support by Mr. Knapp. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We don't need a voice vote on that one, do we?
You have in the past.
Okay.
Done a voice vote in the past.
Yeah, so, real quick, so as we were going through the process, I thought about that. We have a rule that if there's an expenditure of money involved, that we do a voice vote. So, let's go ahead and redo the motion, and then it'll just be a simple voice vote. So the same, nothing has changed, it's just
You
gonna
can
be.
just take a vote.
Yeah.
Voice, you don't have to do.
Gotcha, so go ahead and
restate the
call.
motion. Lisa Germani Williams,
Yes.
Tanya Karsten,
Yes.
Tony LaPuma.
Yes.
Roger Knapp.
Yes.
What, I have Marilyn Trent in there. Paul Haig,
Yes.
Bob Bloomingdale,
Yes.
Mayor Bixson,
Yes.
Chairman Giovanelli.
Yes. Excellent, so, sorry about that confusion, I'm a little rusty, so. Love Local Art Committee report, Madam Director.
Hello. So you may recall, while Town Square obviously has been taking a lot of our spotlight from our goals and objectives discussion, the other piece that was approved at goals and objectives is that we got the green light to start working on art projects in the district. But because I'm working on Town Square with Nick, we needed someone else to take up the mantle for art. So Taylor in our office has decided that this is something that she would like to take on as a passion project. So we're excited about that. So she went ahead, formed a committee, and they had their first meeting on Monday. And here is their little report that I put in here, but if anyone didn't have a chance to look at it, this just explains who's on the committee. We have a nice cross-section of people. Sean from Pig Creek Center for the Arts. We have Shelley Tishka from Paint a Miracle, Tekla Rhodes, who some of you may be familiar with. She's on the Paint Creek board. She does a lot of work with us. She's also a local artist, and she has some business history. Sue Keels, who everyone knows, we reeled her back in because art is a big passion of hers. So Sue's going to be working with us again. And then Amber Hall, who is on our promotions committee. She's gone to conference with us before. She works in town, she lives in town, and she is an artist as well. So this is our base committee that we're starting with. Started talking about short and long-term goals at that meeting. Everyone has homework that they're doing, and our hope is to bring, Taylor and Jenna are gonna come for an in-person report next month to kind of give you an idea of where the committee is going. One of the things that they're looking at is the Michigan Bridge Builders grants just came out. They're specifically for art and culture projects. There is an opportunity to apply for a $5,000 grant for a one-time project that would have to be executed this year. So looking into that and what opportunities there might be there. So look for more from them in April, and then we are talking about at least quarterly them reporting back out to this group to talk about what they're working on and what the ideas are.
Fantastic. I love having a well-run organization, and these guys are the key players to have in that position.
Yes.
So nicely done. Any questions? All right, having seen none, we're moving forward. Receipt of regular reports. Madam Director, update.
So if anyone is interested in going to the Masokin County Summit, that's something that Ben attended with me last year and a couple other members, and it was really valuable. It's an opportunity, the county executive is there, county leadership, and people from Mason Oakland County, so they're really looking for input from us about how our programs are doing, what support we could use from them, and then that's how they inform their next budget year to start making decisions about how they can set aside monies of things they can help with. It's free to attend. If anyone is interested in attending, the link that I sent out and in the packet is a hot link that you can just register, or if you want to go and you just don't feel like doing that, just let me know and I'll register you. I already have a couple of people from PSD going, so it'll be nice if we have a nice showing there. And then the events, main event awards catalog is in your packet, so if anyone is looking through this, if you think that something seems like something we should be applying for, let us know. This is all going to be presented at the May 4th main event. Their theme is May the 4th be with you. It's all space themed. It's very amusing.
Oh, dear.
We just got the link to the tickets yesterday, so I'll be sending that out to everybody. So that's another one if you're interested in going. That one you'll have to email me because that's a cost, so then we'll take care of that. So just let me know if you're interested, and I'll go ahead and buy everybody's tickets. At our last meeting, just as a reminder, one of the things that came up with our accreditation, I know that John would have touched on this tonight had he been able to be here, is the 40th anniversary of the DDA, that there was some discussion about creating a video with support from the county that then would be aired at the May event. Seems like we are still on track to do that. So that would be something that we'd be recognized for our 40th 40 years in community development, as well as being one of the inaugural communities in Main Street, Oakland County. So lots of good stuff coming up in the next couple months, but just a lot of Main Street here, as you can tell on my report. We're doing a lot of Main Street things. And then we're hoping to hear in April the timeline for that grant program that John has been talking about, that's going to be through the county specifically for DDAs and placemaking projects. And that will be number one with a bullet for us, that will be applying for the town square.
100 million%.
Yes.
Got it. All right, very good. Any questions for the director on her update? Events and marketing, I take it that is you as well?
That is me. It's all me. So as I mentioned, the Makers Market, we're already getting a nice response from that, so we're pretty excited about that. Farmers Market, we are virtually sold out. We're still taking vendors for daily slots, but overall, the majority of our seasonal vendors are coming back. So Taylor is right now playing Jenga to try and slot everybody in where they belong. But we are on track with that one. If I hadn't mentioned it and Taylor put it into her report, we have informally called the Committee for Art, the Love Local Art Committee, building on the success of the Love Local brand. We figured we'd double down on that. Deck Art, going back to Jenna's report, Deck Art is officially sold out. This is the earliest we've ever sold out, 400 decks. So they are gone. They sold out last weekend, which we're pretty excited about. So those will start coming in anytime now, and then the really time that we tell the artists when we have to have them is over 2 days. We get like 300 of them back, which is great. That'll be at the end of April. Other than that, the team will be in Boston at the end of this month for the national conference, and hopefully we'll bring back lots more ideas. And of course, I'll be diving into everything I can that has to do with placemaking and grants.
Indeed, and timely is all get out for us, so thank you for that. Appreciate it.
Yes.
Financial report is in your packet. Biz Dev.
Well, I already gave that report, by mistake, and I think we got that covered.
All right, very good. Site Dev.
I went over to Town Square, I think that's it.
All right, very good. Miscellaneous, anything miscellaneous from the assembled masses? I have I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, I have two real quick ones. One, we're sending out something that if you want to be reappointed to the board, you're supposed to send in an application, so please do that. And that's a procedure we adopted many years ago. That's coming up in May.
Yep. That was one thing I was going to bring up.
And then also just, we do have a date for the state of the city, and it is May 10th. The much maligned, much changed, COVID decimated state of the city is returning and is going to be at the community house.
Excellent.
Stuart, what time?
Start at 7, opens up at 6 for hors d'oeuvres, and so I mean, it's not going to be anything like the Chiefs going away party, but
$50 a throw.
yeah. But yeah, so that'll be good, and of course, everybody on the board is invited.
That's fantastic. Glad to see that getting back on track, because that was always a great time to recognize just, the great things happening here, and, but also,
And I
everybody gets-
promise I will mention 40th anniversary of the DDA.
I suspect by May 10th, we'll probably have a lot of stuff for you to put in your decks. It's fantastic. Yeah, I'm sorry. For my miscellaneous stuff, I had the positions expiring in May, so I got a call from Eric, so his is up because he had Jason Rewalds. Who else is up?
You know, Leanne sent it to me. Hang on.
I think I'm in there too.
I think Leanne,
Okay,
yeah,
so-
I think the
All
team
right,
is
so.
in there.
I'll think about it.
as-
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, really. So as the mayor said, just make
Plan
sure, and I
ahead,
told
yes.
Eric the exact same thing. You just need to refill out your application and get it into the city clerk, and then she'll get it.
Yep, I think April 3rd is the due date.
Hold on, I've got it right here for who's expiring for us. Hang on.
I just haven't had a chance to do
And
it yet.
and Tanya has probably a leg up because her one son has gotten into Michigan.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah,
Oh, that's her leg up.
that's my leg up. Go blue, yes.
Ben, you're the third one.
I'm the third one?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Consider yourself voluntold, please.
I'm surprised Leanne didn't send me a note. She might just do me a favor.
Well, it
And
may be a
I will, all right, I will get mine in, sorry.
Thank you.
No worries. Time flies when you're having fun. Jesus, how long has it been?
4 years?
No, I mean,
Oh, total? Oh, God, it's been a minute.
because it was almost, so my first, after I got on council, my first one was Rah Rah, and then DDA shortly thereafter as a citizen member, and then as just.
The rest is history.
Yeah, no,
You've been around, man.
Well, there's only a couple people on this, but, well, there's a few people on this, been around here longer than me, but in terms of it being in politics, of course, you've got the,
But as I always say, Christie was here before me. She likes to hear that.
yeah, we had the Mossy back discussion
And
last week.
and on the planning commission, David Gasson was there before me.
Yeah,
How many years have you been on council doing this?
I actually, I think it's like 23 or 24.
It's crazy.
10 years as mayor.
Yeah, it's unbelievable community service. I would think, from my entire time on council, you were mayor most of it,
Yeah.
between you and Jeff, so.
And now it's Nick and I, right?
The-
It's all that's left, man.
Just the old guys. It's like, what was the Cowboys, City Slickers, right?
Oh, yeah.
All right,
You
okay.
didn't know you were joining the firm?
Right. Any other miscellaneous? Yeah, sorry.
Quick question, and maybe I missed it in the discussion around the front porch. When the front porch is under construction, will the farmer's market be moved or suspended or?
It will be moved is the plan. So that's something that actually Taylor is working on as well. We're looking at the upper lot right there. That would be our ideal, just because for directional, people are used to going to the market. If they didn't know the construction was going on, they pull up, they still see the market right there. But the way that that's broken up, not to mention that that's the only parking for that whole block, we don't know if that's really gonna be the best option for us, so we're actually looking at the upper deck on the west side, or on the east side rather, on the east side, doing it there because it would have the least impact on parking for the block, because people could still park underneath and other parking would still be available, because it is a 6-month commitment of how we take out the parking, so, yes.
I'm personally a fan of the latter, so.
Yeah, I think we are too. We're just trying to figure out, we want to make it as easy for people as possible,
100%.
because with our current timeline, I don't know that we'll be able to really inform our customer base before next year.
Yeah.
Like, we wouldn't be able to tell them this year. So it's going to be, like you said, everything is about messaging. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, we had that discussion ad nauseum, making sure to over-communicate, so
Yeah.
we make sure we stay on top of that.
Yeah.
With that, meeting adjourned. All right. Question.